it's hard because you're like, oh, well, they never do that for me or whatever. But like, if you guys both started doing little things for each other, like, I think, like, you know, you'd be surprised, like, how much that shows your appreciation for the person. So yeah, I know, like, even something super small, like that, if my husband does something, even like the smallest thing for me, that was my stomach, by the way, but anyways, just like the smallest thing, it makes me think like, oh, you know, he thought about me and he cared about, you know, making my day go easier or run smoother or whatever. Like, it just shows that you care for the other person. So I try to do this as much as I can, and my husband does things for me too, so yeah, and I think that helps. In the same breath, I would recommend, okay, so in the same breath, what also comes to mind is, I'm sure you guys have probably heard of it, it's like the 5 love languages test or something. Usually I'm not like much for like, you know, little tests like that, but I will say in this situation, I think it's really helpful to learn your partner's love language. And I say this because everybody's love languages are different, and my husband and I actually just a couple months ago took this test, and I think it's really helped, like, honestly, because, and I don't remember what all of them are, but I know, like, acts of service is one of them, physical touch is one of them, I think words of affirmation, what else? There's 2 more, I don't remember, but I know, like, acts of service and words of affirmation are like the top 2 for me, and my husband's is physical touch and words of affirmation. So it's just really helpful to know this about your partner, because then you kind of know, like, what can I do to show them appreciation? Because, like, somebody whose love language is physical touch isn't going to get the same, like, isn't probably going to get, like, the same out of, like, acts of service. Whereas, like, the opposite, if someone has the love language of acts of service and your partner's just, like, it's just physical touch, you know? So, learning that about your partner is a really great way to, first off, like, learn more about your partner and, you know how to show your appreciation in a way that they like. So, yeah, that's really helpful. Another thing that, I mean, anymore, like, I don't know if people want to hear this, but I'm just gonna say it. You need to just, like, have time with your partner where you talk to each other and have, like, deep, meaningful conversations, and you're not just sitting in front of the TV or sitting on your phones. Like, I know, like, our phones have become, like, attached to our bodies at this point, but yeah, you cannot connect, like, to someone if you're also on your phone at the same time. Like, anytime you're trying to talk to someone and they're on their phone, you know darn well they're not hearing, like, anything you're saying. And I guess this is kind